Hello ladies and gents, I am Nother, and welcome to From the Depths, a Nother Neter playthrough. This is the custom community campaign for From the Depths. It is based on the official Quest for Neter campaign, though has several additions, which is explained a little bit in episode 0. So, to begin with, I am in the designer. The reason for this is I just want to showcase a couple of the designs which we are going to be using initially. So, first of all, we have the logistics side of things. This is stuff which I have been incorporating into the game myself, because that's basically what I'm going to be doing. So, to begin with, we have the basic miner. It is a 2K mining drone, and it does exactly what it says on the tin. It is a very basic mining drone, has several 5 beams, and then yes, it has a small capacity and is powered by RTGs. So it is very basic, and it does have some repair and building capability. So I'm hoping this will do quite well, just being able to put these in every resource zone I need. I think it is enough to be able to mine every single one by itself, though it is cheap enough to build up additional ones. One thing you do notice though is that it doesn't have that much repair capability. That is because I want to keep this as cheap as possible. And if I need to build things, then I'll either send around my logistics drones, which I do actually need to upgrade from Ashes of the Empire. Could be made better. I need to make one for fuel and one for resources, and keep with the combination one. Just because I'm not going to be utilising a pipeline in this series, so unless it's very short. And really I want to be using patrol routes of logistics and cargo vessels. So the way I'll actually be building things is either with the logistics drone, which I've used before, but that is very expensive design, something which I'm not going to be able to afford straight away. And so I do need to make myself a cheaper one, something which is going to transport fuel or resources in a small scale, whereas 2 of these was basically able to supply a fairly large force. For repair capabilities, I'm actually going to be using the repair ball. This is quite an expensive little design, but that is comparatively. But it is just an ammo box surrounded in lots and lots of repair tentacles. This was essentially designed to be placed inside vehicles and just to be very quick spawning in to be allowed to, repair things very quickly. It was originally designed when you were able to place repair capabilities on the end of docking ports and allow them to repair the parent craft. That has since been patched because it is overpowered as hell. Still, this is a very cheap and effective repair and building vehicle, so I hope to do very well there. As can actually be seen, it actually has the multi-storage in. This was designed when that was a thing, so it's lasted a long while and it's really rather effective. Next up, the thing we're going to be replacing the fort with is actually the ADF refinery. This is the cheapest and most efficient refinery I could actually come up with, and I'm probably going to actually do a construction episode on how I made this, and allow me to go over how refineries are efficient. As you can see, I am now lowering it to the efficient line, and the reason for that is this is the most efficient refinery you can make without it exploding. It has an efficiency of 286 and does not produce any gas. It's also has a load of turbines and it's powered again by an RTG and electric engine setup. And this is able to keep itself nicely afloat here. Yes, it does do very nicely, and again, it doesn't have much fuel storage, and that is because again, it is designed to be worked in a group of these, much like I did in Ashes of the Empire, and also I will have at various points, I'll have a actual storage depot. So I haven't designed it yet, but it could just be simply a structure of a load of fuel tanks and a load of actual material boxes, just so I can have somewhere to store all the, loot and fuel, which I am hoping to be able to get together. So that covers the basic logistics, at least for the start of the Deepwater Guard, while I work on improving the actual logistics drone here, because at the moment it does fly into the ground, and I built this on a stream to make it look pretty, but, well, it's going to be out of play, so I need to make it efficiency over prettiness, and it isn't pretty anyway, so it is working well though. There it goes into the sky, and it does go fast. It goes over 100 meters per second, which is very, very nice. However, the logistics side is not something we are particularly going to be interested in long term. What we are going to be interested in is the combat vehicles, and I'm aiming to do actual episodes of showcasing designs and submitted designs in each episode, but it really is going to depend how the game progresses. This one is basically going to be showing off a couple of designs and maybe just starting the campaign off. I don't think we're actually going to have any combat in the campaign proper, just because of how it's going to be all set out. So, I have my submission. I was going to be using the ADF Patrol. This was designed as a lamb's boat, but as we've seen, it is pretty slow and does have a little bit of a tendency to nosedive into the water, and it's only armed with simple lasers. So against anything tough, it didn't really do the damage, even though its LAM system is really well effective. So I'll actually show it off against, have to go into regular. I've showed it off against something like a Typhoon. Its actual LAM system is really rather strong, and it's able to do a good amount of defense. A big problem though with it is that if it gets inverted, which happens quite regularly because it has no way of correcting itself, it does mean that it will essentially stop working as a lamb's boat, and its shields, it only has 2, and they're on this top surface, so as soon as it gets inverted, it becomes a sitting duck without the lambs working and without the shields protecting it. This wasn't very good, and to be honest, it doesn't work very well as a combat ship. As you can see, it is trying to get into combat range, but it just can't do it. I mean, it's trying to face a sub, but you know what I mean. And here we go, it is actually now inverting. It doesn't fall out the sky, it does actually keep itself quite okay, but it can't really aim or do anything, because now it's inverted, all of its protection is now wasted, and it can't stop those missiles coming to destroy it, albeit slowly. So, what I decided to do was go completely in the opposite direction and go for no defences whatsoever. And this is the ADF Leander. This time it is getting completely shot up, but it has missiles on top and torpedoes underneath. And now it has a lot more shields and a simple PID system which can help prevent it from, well, pitching and rolling. It's very, very basic, but it is enough to keep it the correct way up. And it's also a bit faster with these jets on the back. So previously it was around about 20 meters per second. This is now around about 30, which, considering the things it's going to be facing, is a lot better. So it'll actually be facing a lot of these designs against the Kalmar in testing, due to the Kalmar being a pretty robust design really, and its damage output is fairly low, allowing us to see and showcase the vehicles properly. So we've seen here the torpedoes are going in quite handily, and the missiles have kind of gone off doing whatever they feel like. This does need editing and things, but there we go. The missiles, the torpedoes do significant amount of damage because they're explosive underwater, which always does rather nicely. And you can see now that the shields are doing considerably better. Come on, missiles, where are you? Yeah, the missiles are having a little bit of difficulty aiming. Yeah, they're aiming up, but did I remove the one turn? I removed the one turn on them. That would be why they aren't turning in the one turn. Yep. Let's change it to the one turn, the APN to a one turn, and see how that helps them. I think the vehicle went through so many iterations that I kind of forgot I removed the one turn, but there we go. As you can see, it's doing decently well. It's not doing a huge amount of damage, but itself is very, very resilient. And that is going to serve us well in this campaign, because we're going to need resilient designs, because we are only at the 15k T1 limit at the moment. And that is going to prove significant problems, I believe. But those problems are something we are going to be able to overcome, which is good. So, for our other forces, we're going to probably utilise one of our Boralis's ones, the Catfish. This is a very cheap 6k design. The reason I'm going for this one is that it is very cheap and we're going to be able to afford it straight away and maybe protect ourselves against any early deep water guard aggression. And we can even spawn it in with or without torps. So we'll load in to begin with. So here we go. The Catfish micro submarine. So this utilises several supercavitation rounds. So it has frag, inertial frag, and I believe it is actually supercavitation. Is it supercavitation? No! I was sure it was supercav. Oh, we'll send it against the Calamar and see how it performs. Well, it seems to do decently well anyway. Oh, their shells are dropping a little bit low. I have a feeling this actually likes to go very, very close towards its target. Yes, as you can see, it is actually trying to path right near towards its target. And then those rounds will be able to strike without missing. Because, yeah, at the moment they are going a little bit low. But I think if it goes directly under its target, the drop-off it's receiving won't matter. Yep, it's now getting a lot closer. And the shells are getting very, very nearby. Yeah, so I've decided to forgo the supercavitation for more firepower, which I can definitely understand as reasoning. And being submarine, it does have a shield on the top. It does make it very, very difficult for the enemy to shoot at it. And once it is firing underneath, the fact that the shells are slow and its detection and aiming is a little bit off no longer applies really. You've seen it is actually doing significant damage at point blank range. Took a couple of hits there, but it is actually still stable. And this is actually going to do very well, because submarines are probably the most powerful thing to utilise in the game against all the factions. Because, well, they have very, very, very little submarine detection or defence. Some would say satellites are very strong, but all in all, satellites can be shot at with a lot of anti-air weapons because they aren't normally that high. Very fast satellites are difficult, but submarines actually have a difficulty of just, well, not being detected a lot of the time. And it AI-deaded its target in fairly short order regardless. So we'll probably also spawn in the version with torps as well. So this is a little bit more expensive. I think it actually just has the torpedo array underneath. Yes, it does. So these are just some very, very basic explosive torpedoes, but because they'll be coming up from underneath, they're going to do a nice bit of damage. And this will also give it that little bit longer range against the Kelmar, or against all targets, because although the first couple of rounds will normally miss, those torpedoes will be able to hit it at longer range. But even so, shooting underneath it is very, very strong. A weakness of this design is that it's going to be completely unable to take out any air targets, because I don't think it is able to, well, target them or even aim at them. Friends, let's have a look. It has a... How's the detection work? It doesn't look like it has an intra-vehicle transmitter. And not having an intra-vehicle transmitter means it won't be able to target anything friendly. My design doesn't have an intra-vehicle transmitter either, but that is because its missiles are self-targeting. It has a simple radar system for that initial detection, but I didn't feel that it was going to benefit the rest of the team with its actual detections, because they are, well, it's a single detection radar, it is nothing fancy. But the torpedo version is very nice, and I believe is quite a bit more potent than the one without the torpedoes, just because it has that slightly additional range on it. The other design we're going to be going is some of the older designs we've received, and that is one from Similian. This is the starter raft, the Gen 2 one, at near 9k. The shielded one is a little bit more expensive, but this is one we're going to be using to begin with. We'll probably move on to the shielded one fairly early on in the campaign proper. All people have only 15k to work with, so we can't spawn in both at once. With Arboreuses, because combined they fit below 15k, we can actually spawn them both in. So, here we have our little starting raft. It's a fairly basic boat, really. Has a lot of detection, actually. Or a lot of things there. Maybe these are actually... I wonder why it has so much detection. I suppose it does have a good amount up here, so that does make sense. Still, I have a feeling that could be quite expensive, and everything needs to be very, very cheap in these designs. Still, the gun looks decent enough. I expect it is... No, it is not. It's just a solid sabot weapon. I thought it was going to be fragmentation, inertial fuse, but no, it is a sabot gun. Though, against Deepwater Guard, that is pretty good. And we have some fairly basic explosive fragmentation missiles to boot as well. Let's send this against the Kalmar. That's how it fares there. Okay, the missiles go wild. I suppose it doesn't have fuses, and it was firing at an angle. But they are lock on, regardless, and aim towards the spooking point on the Kalmar at the top there. And it is already AI deaded. So my fears were unfounded. Its sabot gun is really very effective against Deepwater Guard. At least early while they don't have any shields. Not many Deepwater Guard actually have shields. And it is very, very, very low in the water. This means it's going to have a terrible time for enemies to detect it. Maybe some of the submarines will be able to face it, but it does get the benefits similarly of the submarine. So I have a good feeling that this will serve us very well, despite being a very cheap below 10k design, because it was actually submitted when I was contemplating facing the Deepwater Guard with 10k designs rather than the 15k we have now. And also, finally, we have Sovereign's design. This is a 10k design, again one which was submitted when I was still working on a 10k design rather than the 15k. And it is another nice little boat. Has a big detection system at the top because, well, we do need detection on this system. And I think these are actually just direct feed guns, actually. Yes, direct feed on all three parts. All four of them, actually. And it is quite nice. So again, it's a big sabot gun. Though I've just noticed the accuracy before firing is at 2%. We need to change that because, yeah, we don't want the rounds missing. So let's just jump on board. Let's change all of them to that high accuracy setting there. Change them all there to 0.1, and then I will save this over the design. Let's fire this against the Kalmar. Well, a bit of recoil. And straight away, the accuracy is shown to be a bit of an issue. But that is because the Kalmar was launching up into the sky, as is pretty standard with the Kalmar. So it should turn off the path view this time, because we don't need to see where the missiles are aiming. So part of the detection system is down, but those are several very, very fast rounds, and they clear straight through the Kalmar, bringing off a large number of blocks, and making it list slightly, but since the Kalmar is made of so much wood, it isn't proving too much of a difficulty for it. The resilience of the monitor is decent, and is not taking that much damage. The central tower in the middle has taken a bit of damage, but the detections are still being sufficient to allow all strikes to land on target, though its propulsion is proving a little bit more of a problem. Again, it is sitting fairly low in the water, got a very low freeboard, or no freeboard, and that is going to do it quite well. Fortunately, its detection system has now fallen off, so if you have a look at the detection systems are pretty wild on its target, and I have a feeling that the Calamar is actually going to defeat this poor little monitor. Yeah, because it is aiming all over the place, and so it doesn't really have a chance to aim very well. But those sabot rounds are going to do pretty nasty things should they hit the target, being able to clear through, well, probably able to do quite well against the Onyx Watch, in fact. So we will load the monitor up. Oops. Sorry, catechism. We'll actually send it against one of the Onyx Watch designs. Something fairly small. I think the Telemachus is small. Yeah, it's well, everything's regular, isn't it? So yes, down it goes, and yeah, it's doing very nicely actually against the Onyx Watch, clearing huge blocks straight through the Onyx Watch craft. So maybe it's a bit too powerful for Deepwater Guard. Maybe it would probably do better having something like a thump head on the front, because quite frankly, this is over the top. It does not need this amount of firepower. So if it fires again at the Onyx Watchcraft, though it might have just been disabled by the Telemachus shot, it's having difficulty lining up the shots. And yeah, they're going a little bit wild. I think I'm going to make some adjustments to this thing, because it was squeezed into the 10K. It could be improved. So I'm actually going to pause the video and make some improvements, mainly to the detection systems, and also change it to a thump warhead rather than the AP round. Yeah, this is the round which is currently in use. It is a very fast, a very, very, very high amount of damage, and yeah, it is good against the Onyx Watch. This will be a very good round against the Onyx Watch, actually, but for the purposes of the Deepwater Guard, it is excessive, and we do not need anything remotely this powerful. So I'm actually just going to change it to actual just pure hollow point, a big thump round. And it's still a decently fast round, and it does a rather huge amount of kinetic damage, and that is going to thump huge holes in any Deepwater Guard design it faces. Now I just need to finish up the detection systems. I did find some extra detection, an active radar 90-degree one, and a laser rangefinder in the inside on a spin block. Though I have a nasty feeling when that's underwater, I don't know if it works. But maybe it does. But I think these extra ones on the surface are going to do rather nicely, and will actually allow it to do a little bit more should the need arise. So let's just add on a little bit more of the actual general purpose detection cards, and then it will all work fine. Yep, so now at 91% of the detection rate, we're now up around about a few hundred materials, but I think this is all good. So I'll save over the monitor, and now it should work quite a bit better against the Calamar. Where is the Calamar? The Calamar is there, and so I think these new rounds are going to do very nicely against the Calamar, because they are big thump warheads. And yet immediately you can just see huge amounts of confetti when those shells hit, rather than just the few blocks when the sabot rounds passed through it completely. And I think this is going to be a much more potent craft for our use. Though just waiting for it to fire again, just to confirm that it's the case. Though it looks like the detection tower has gone down. So how is now the detections? The detections are much better. You can see now the detections are a much better line, and so its actual aiming point is way better, and not as erratic as it was previously. it knows roughly where it needs to aim in order to score that critical strike. There we go. Big amounts of blocks just ripped off the rear of the Kalmar there. And that is a considerably better strike there. And I think this is going to do quite nicely. Though it doesn't seem to be as resistant to the damage as some of other designs, though again I don't think it has the shielding or systems which the others have had benefit for due to being mainly worked for a larger cost value. Still, those are going to be the designs we are going to add in to begin with our campaign. So let us begin. So here we go. This is the quest for Neter on the planet Nother Neter. Well, oh, hang on. It says planet edited instance. No, that isn't one I'm meant to be on. Let's change the planet. Neter Let's Play. Oh, maybe it's probably because I haven't renamed it. I need to rename it to Nother Neter because that is the campaign's name, the Let's Play's name. So let us customize and begin this campaign. We'll go custom, and the difficulty we are going to go directly to 1 because we want to do, well, 1 is its default value. We want everything, the blocks, to be exactly the same. Enemy growth factor, yes. I like having the resource given by the enemy to be high. I don't want there to be capturing, if at all possible, in this Let's Play, unless I have a vehicle specifically designed to do it, like a ramming drill thing where Rambot sits in it to capture vehicles. I had to do it out of necessity in Ashes of the Empire, but I really, really don't want to be doing it as part of the course because I admit it can be quite dull. Particularly when you do it again and again and again, it gets very repetitive. So I want things to be a little bit more different. And enemy design difficulty, it really doesn't matter what we set this at. The enemies will all be exactly the same. So I might put it all the way to max just to try and get some more experience. I don't really know. I should do it at regular because that is what we are at. We are facing a regular design, though I might increase it just, let's say, to get more experience. Because the multiplier is only at 141%, and we could double that, which would be nice. But honestly, you don't need experience in the game a lot. You get once you get to a certain value, so Rambot doesn't instantly die, it is pretty good. So let us begin the new campaign. So here we are on our starter raft, and with the nice custom weather and water there. But we don't want this, do we? So it's Pirate's Life for me. Yes, we are ready. We do not want to declare war just yet because we have a few logistics things to build up first. I removed these custom... The dredge and that, they shouldn't be here. I removed them from the campaign. They shouldn't even be listed. I might have to go through and just delete them again, but that's quite irritating because as I said, I removed them. They shouldn't show here. Well, they're gone now. The pipeline, the Flawn outpost, good. Gathering the barnacle, go. We have our own things. Well, first of all, we're going to pull all. We have the miner. Going to build that. And we also have the refinery. And probably a repair ball, because the repair ball is dirt cheap. And to begin with, we're going to scrap the starting rib. Hey, we get a few materials. And the miner should now be operational. Good. So, the starting fortress can now be scrapped. I was thinking of just starting the campaign with these resources, but I just want to prove that I wasn't cheating anything. So starting with the starting fortress and the starting rib. So there we go. Repair ball has captured everything, so that is good. though I don't really have the resources to afford anything much more. Though we now have the refinery. So the refinery is now making its resources, the miner is gathering resources, and the repair ball is a repair ball. It's going to do quite handily at getting everything we need. And yes, the altitude is maximum of 6. Yes! It took me ages to get this right. Basically because every time I created this thing, the altitude would default to something like 20 and not be efficient. And this thing needs to be purely efficient because it is a refinery. It's going to make us lots and lots of fuel at very good values. So material collection, it isn't enough. It's costing 7,200 energy a minute. I thought I designed it right, but whatever. We can always just spawn in 2. That is the nice thing. So just spawn in another one. So just merge this force together. Zoom all the way out. I haven't updated that. I've got a new shield. It's the same sort of flag, but it's actually it's like the normal shields rather than that one. So it's a little bit better. And how's the resources? The resources are going down slowly. Excellent. That's exactly what I want. And so now, let's start spawning in designs. Spawn in the ADF Leander. I can only afford 0.7 of these, so we're off to a fantastic start. Next up, we have Boris's catfish. Catfish and the catfish with torps. Similian with the starter raft. And then Sovereign Cataclysm with the monitor. Slightly modified by myself. Let's merge all these together and pull all. And I did not mean to merge them with that, so let's split them into their own force and repair them up. So there we go, being repaired quite quickly actually, but that is because we have the resources to start with. So let's just speed up time and get this force ready for combat. So let's see if anyone remembered to actually set up their resources. No, they didn't. I did, but yeah, we need to make sure everyone is actually in the same resource group. So tips, people. If you're doing this, make sure you have set up a supply, because otherwise things might not get fueled up. So you want fuel, you want materials, and all of that sort of stuff. Alright, let's spawn in the radar balloon. I need a better one. I need a satellite. I'm going to make myself a satellite. I know I've got some pretty good ones from the Ashes of the Empire campaign, but I do want to have at least a few of my own designs in this one, even if they are going to be out of play. I just like using my own designs in this sort of way. Hey, the radar balloon is complete. Let us send it up into the sky. Moving out. So here we go. We can actually see the enemy do have a garrison of 12, 17 and 15. Very, very low garrison values. But that is to be expected at this point in the game. But we are slowly but surely getting everything up. What's the game time limit? We've been playing for half an hour. It doesn't feel like it because we're playing at 10 times speed. Materials are going up very slowly. And there we go, the catfish with torps is complete, the monitor is also complete. Okay, we also have visibility of the first outpost, the garbage patch, which is something I do want to try and head for quite quickly, because that will allow us to get a single 30k design. And we do have a couple already, though most people have been designing for Onyx Watch. We do have one which would do nicely for an upgrade, and that is good. So the Leander is still being construction, the starting raft and the catfish no torps is still being built. But I feel confident with just the catfish and the monitor we would be able to face off against some of these initial tiles. That said, we can face anything, and so we must entertain the possibility of a defeat fairly early on in this Let's Play. I should have probably given it season numbers. Well, if there's a season 2, there's a season 2. But I'm hoping that with my ability to adjust the game on the fly, that if we do come across anything too ridiculously potent, which I believe there will be, we will be able to adjust it and adapt accordingly. Though, that is always the fun. The entertainment of defeat is always good. I feel a lot of Let's Plays are from the depths. The players, there is not much chance of defeat. The HQ might be attacked on occasion, but generally the HQ is designed in such a way that it is designed to be able to take a heck of a beating. The quest for Neter, the cruise of Neter is one which could have a lot of defeat, because that's when you have a single ship and just go around and do everything by yourself. Since you're only a single ship design, that can lead to certain problems, since some of the designs are heavily designed and factored in to defeat 1v1s. And the lander is not building. Must be out of building range. I know. It's building just very slowly. Because we've actually we've removed the Oak Isle, the actual initial growth, so we're just working on the natural growth of the infinite reserve now. As you can see, straight away we have a reinforcement tile. This has gone up to 39 already, and we have Lord's and Canary Fleet, the Falkenheim and the Sunfish is going to reinforce it. Yeah, we're up to that sort of thing already. This is crazy. I love it. The Leander is taking a while. No, we're going to have to start taking tiles quickly, because otherwise we're going to have trouble. So, the Leander, you stay out. I'm going to send the first community force in to deal with this first tile. We're an hour and 15 minutes into the game so far. And the Leander is being slow. These designs have no materials with them. Really hope they don't require a load of forces to deal with it. We'll find out. We'll find all these things out. Also, currently the force is very, very slow. I saved the Leander at speed, but it doesn't look like these were necessarily saved with a speed. No, the monitor was not. The catfishes, and the catfishes are stationary unless in combat. So only the starter raft actually has a speed at the moment. Leander is still taking a while to be built. Well, let us go into the war. Relationships. Hello! Let's declare war. Right, looks like the Deviled Guard is a Prowler, a 67% Prowler. And of course are going to add in this force, though I think that just adds in. So we're facing a Casket Bolt and a Vanguard Retrofit. Designs fairly early on, I must say. And the flagship, the Prowler and the Corsair are already attacking us. They're heading towards our radar balloon. So I'm going to move that out the way. And we will go into combat for the very first time in Nother Neter. So, let's get this design going and begin the battle. Monitor will do well at a flanking position. And the sea vessel. The Catfish. It's going to be a little bit annoying because it starts at sea level. I want to make it underwater. Never mind. So I'm going to have those two slightly separated. So the Casket Bolt is going to be a bit annoying because it is air. The Vanguard Retrofit I have no fear about. Starter Raft. This is the thing which probably takes out the Casket Bolt. So we'll actually sit on it for this battle. Oh, I don't have to spawn in the land. Well, the land does need spawning in, but, you know, it's underwater, so it's not really a problem. That's going to be weird. So let us begin the battle, and pause immediately. So yes, we outnumber the Deepwater Guard with our forces. And here we go, there's the little casket bolt, looking rather fancy, and the Vanguard retrofit, which is probably the weakest design in the entire arsenal of the Deepwater Guard, since it is armed with a single simple autocannon. Yeah, it is not really a threat to anything other than a solid array of explosive barrels. Well, let us begin and observe our forces. I want to try and show our forces in the best light. So the battle begins. I'm not going to do this in post because, well, it's going to happen very quickly. So immediately the array hits there and a single actual one fuse hits there. And that did very nicely. I'm glad I changed it to the hollow point round, because that took out the entirety of the casket bolt's main gun there. And it's actually shooting itself a little bit. So we've got the catfish shooting at the Vanguard here. I think the torpedoes will be coming along soon. No, I can't see the torpedoes. No, the casket bolt is now falling out of the sky. Now got the catfish. Yep, the catfish no torps is firing at the Vanguard, and there we go. The casket bolt is having torpedoes launched at it since it has gone in the drink, and this should blow it out of the water. Nope, but it does have lost a load of its internals. And is now also having the fragmentation rounds fired towards it. And the Vanguard is defeated, and there we go, the two torpedoes strike, and it has a few rounds from those little subs doing the dirty on it. And those subs are going to do very nicely. For now, I want to keep the forces fairly small. I'm not too sure how small, but I know for a fact that I want to keep them fairly small altogether. So let's move these guys back, and we should have a slightly faster movement speed. We're up to 21, 17, 17, 8. So we're now moving at a speed of 8, which is almost 3 times as fast as we were. So that's good. The monitor is the thing which is slowing us down, which could be a bit of a problem. Okay, not the refinery. I think the Leander was finished. Yes, the Leander is now finished. So we've got a bit of resources there. So we've now got some resources in the force. And actually we've got time for another combat, I think. It might be a little bit of a longer episode to begin with, but that's okay. The initial episode can be a little bit longer without a problem. Hang on, did I not give the Leander... I thought I gave it repair tentacles. Maybe I didn't. Okay, that's a problem. We have no repair capabilities in this force. Actually, the monitor is the best vehicle to do it on. So we'll spawn it in on the monitor. Just pull up the interface and probably throw on. We only need really a couple of repair tentacles just for that initial little bit of damage, and also throw on probably a couple of repair bots onto you as well. Yeah, there we go. We've got a couple of repair bots and a couple of repair tentacles on the monitor. And I'm actually going to save it again. That should also now save it with a speed of 3. Darn it! I upgraded it when it was stationary. Oh well. These things happen, I guess. Okay, so we're facing off the Prowler and the Corsair. The 10th Pirate Lord Pathos' fleet. So let's begin. Right, so... the monitor. I'm actually going to position behind the Prowler. That should get a good shot in the rear section of the Prowler there. Look at the cost, 51,000 materials. We're facing some big things straight away. I love it. The catfish, again, I want them to be a little bit further away. The reason for that is I want them to be able to sink before they get into combat. The starter raft I'm going to place over here. That's going to probably draw the majority of the fire from the Prowler, though the Leander is going to be the thing which probably does that most. And that is because it is a decent little craft like that. Though, why is it out 200? It flies at an altitude of 20. So we'll set that up, and I'll probably sit on the actual Leander. Because, well, it's my craft. So the battle size has already increased. I can only spawn in 2 things at once. I'm going to increase the battle size up to the 15k. I am going to limit the size of the battle. It got ridiculous last time with Ashes, and it will get ridiculous this time. And I'll consider it. I'll increase the battle for now, but we will limit that at some point. So yes, the Immortal Guard now massively outnumber us, because of this course. Prowler and the Corsair, yeah. We're already into some decent sized designs. Look at that thing. What I do like is that we're getting to see all these rare designs, because you don't often see them. And yeah, this is like a mini plunderer, isn't it? Yep. Well, let's see how we fare against an actual proper force. So we've got Crams firing at the monitor at the rear, but it does fire its shells. And I think does strike, we get a couple of misses there. The torpedoes and the missiles from the Leander fire, and it is drawing the fire out like I'd expect, and its shields is bouncing off everything, which is exactly what I need it to do. The enemy do have missiles, bit of a problem to us, but the Leander is drawing all the fire away from much weaker and more vulnerable designs. We do have some torpedoes there inbound towards the monitor, and the monitor is taking those hits rather well. It does have a good amount of alloy and wood on the top, which keeps it airborne. Though it is now taking cram hits towards it. How is this one little doing? The starter raft is doing well, but it just had a barrage of shots which took out the detection systems and missile launcher at the back, so it's going to have difficulty aiming. The monitor itself is doing okay, not looking too healthy, but is looking decent enough. The Leander is firing its missiles. It's doing quite well, though they did run out of fuel before they reached the target. That is something I do need to address. Its torpedoes hit and did a nice bit of damage on the underside there, breaking out one of the pontoons and hitting fairly centrally, but not enough to cause any severe damage yet. It has been disabled though, but I am hoping the adjustments I made to it will keep it afloat. It has a good number of propulsion systems, which will mean it won't actually sink easily. Where are the catfish? Oh, we don't actually have enough resources. That'll be why. Let's spawn them in. I thought we had everything spawning in. Apparently not. So the catfish have now spawned in, so we're now actually going to have their support in this. It does showcase that we really do need as much help as we can get in these battles. So how are we doing? We're now down to 5k, mainly because we spawned in a load of extra stuff. The Leander is pretty damaged as a starter raft, so we're pretty much now waiting just on the catfish to deal the damage for us. And can they do that? Starter raft is back and operational. It's taken enough damage, but it is firing its sabot round into the vehicle there, the Prowler, isn't it? And looks like the Leander is still working. It's taking nasty hits from the Corsair, but it is still, well, it's hovering. It doesn't look like it's combat ready, but it is still actually functioning. Both the catfish seem to be heading towards the Corsair though. Yikes. The poor monitor. Prowler. Yeah. Hit after hit is striking through it. Ooh, we've lost another one of our guns. The shell bounced underneath through it and hit it. We're actually... hang on. We're 2 damage. We are 2 damage. We are losing our first vehicle. Now for the moment, I will just, whenever we lose something, I will just cycle it out in the next episode for something new. Just because at the moment I have a good number of designs. I won't be completely removing the design forever, like I did with Ashes, but I will be adjusting things here and there. Oh, and we have an AI dead on the enemy. That is good. Though, both catfish did head towards it. That's good. We're now just left with the Prowler. The Leander is sort of hovering around. It's not being able to quite right itself correctly. It's doing a decent job of trying, but without more of the props operational, it will have great difficulty. But that spiraling tactic there is part of the defense, and why I'm not trying to make it too much, because this is really hard to hit. When it's spiraling like this, the enemy will be firing towards it like it is now, and just basically is not going to have a chance. I have a feeling, yes, they're actually aiming at this poor little catfish, the one with the torps, or not at the moment, since I don't think it has that much material. It does have materials, but it doesn't have much ammo. It's a bit of a problem. APS do use a heck of a lot of ammunition. With the rest of our forces, yep, it is trying to do well, but we're going to do a little while. So I'm just going to do a quick cut here while we just wait for things to occur. Okay, we're now back into combat. The catfish decided to start firing. The torpedoes have been launched to make a small dent in the base there, though it is actually these fragmentation warheads which are doing the damage, which is what I was expecting. Once they get in range, the catfish are very nasty, though when they get really close, those crown cannons can just fall on top of them, and if they're made buoyant, they go into the sky, and that makes it easy target. But it looks like we have got an AI dead. We have an AI dead. Fantastic! Congratulations to those catfish. And Boris's design certainly saved us, which is kind of why I spawned them in. I was expecting that submarines would do a lot of help towards us and essentially win us the game where possible. So yes, well done to the catfish. The monster, though, did exceptionally well, as did the starter raft. I am very pleased of their designs, and they are certainly going to serve us well into the future, though for the moment both the monitor and the starter raft will be deleted and replaced by something different for the next episode. But I think that's going to be it for this one. So it's going to move probably the force back towards the HQ, where we will repair, replace, and for the next episode I will have another logistics drone, so we're able to capture these resource nodes. Because, well, we have a nice amount of resources, might as well utilize them. And yeah. And yes, but it is going to be good. We have a nice amount of salvage. We get 10% of the displayed below. We get 100% of our own salvage. So we've got around about, 3k materials there, which is nothing really to be sniffed at. We have 3k at home, so we have another 5k. That is enough for a third of a new design. Yeah. This is going to be very difficult to work with, and when tiles get to strength like this, it is going to be very, very tricky to fight against. But that's going to be all the fun. So, looking forward to this campaign. It is good to at last get an episode recorded for it. And I'm hoping that Nother Neter will be a really successful and very fun Let's Play to play and watch. But that is all I have time for this episode. So thank you very much for watching this episode of Nother Neter with myself, If you did enjoy the episode, please leave a like and or comment below, as it is always great to hear from you lot. Also, be sure to check out my Discord channel and my actual YouTube channel for more videos of From the Depths and other games. And also consider adding in your own submissions to this campaign, as more designs is always very welcome. But that is it for now. So until next time, goodbye.